Hello there. Today it's a good day because I've had some mail arrive. This is from Alex T, all the way in Spain, and today we're looking at Across a Thousand Dead Worlds. So my understanding of this game is that it's kind of intended for solo play, although you can play it as GM-less and you can play it with multiple players, so it's a role-playing game. But I've been kind of interested in this after learning about it over on Man Alone's YouTube channel. He does a lot of cool solo play stuff, and yeah, that just seemed kind of up my alley in many ways, and I just wanted to show you what you get if you order this. So this is just the standard version that's off the website. This was sent all the way from Spain, and it got here really quickly. So Alex did a great job on the post and just getting it dispatched quickly. But we'll see what you get if you actually were to purchase this online. Alright, so if we take the cover off, we have this, there is still a shrink layer over it, and as you can see that holds in a book, the book itself, but it also holds in these token sheets. Alright, so there's actually another, believe it or not, there's another layer of shrink wrap over it. So these are tokens. And then we've already pierced this other layer of wrap, so we'll just take this off. And then inside it, we get some of these double-sided maps. So this one is Alien Planet 3. And it looks like it's got some vegetation. And yeah, just hexes. I guess maybe it's a cave or something like that. Over on the other side, we've got Alien Planet 2. And again, vegetation, and it almost looks like a scan, like someone scanned it with some kind of radar equipment or something. Quite cool. Alien Planet 1, so we've got some kind of river and some different undulating terrain features. And then in here, we've got Facility 3, so this is, I guess, or Alien Facility 3. So this is kind of a inside bunker base type thing, facility. And then we've got Alien Facility 1. And could be interpreted in quite a few ways. Yeah, it almost looks like an X-ray. It's quite cool. And then on the other side, we've got Alien Facility 2. So again, could probably be interpreted a few ways, but yeah, I like that. Now the book itself is quite nice. So if we flip it up this way, you've got along the spine 1,000 Dead Worlds. On the back, we've got Black Oath Entertainment, and then on the cover itself we've got the name of the book again, 1,000 Dead Worlds, and these two explorers that are, I guess, well, they're probably exploring a dead world. Inside, so this is, the cover itself is kind of a matte finish, and then it's got quite nice thick cardstock, like at least for these end sheets, just quite a foreboding, grim kind of illustration. yeah, it's got this lone craft there. On this side you've got this planet, some stars. So writing and game design Alex T. We've got all the cover art, credits and all of that kind of stuff. And then you've got the contents page. And I must say the graphic design on this is pretty nice, like pretty beautiful. And it says welcome to Karam Station. So basically the premise with this, so I'll just zoom in a little bit here just so you can sort of read it. So basically you, by whatever way, have become one of the people that is selected to partner with Karam Station Enterprises. And the idea is basically that you and maybe a small party of individuals are tasked with kind of exploring these sort of alien sites from this old technology, this old race, or these old races that have potentially existed for a long time and are now dead, hence the name Across 1,000 Dead Worlds. Essentially, the premise of the game is that you're going to go and visit these dead worlds, retrieve this sort of ancient technology, and so talks about the universe that's at your fingertips. Yeah, so this kind of ancient race that they don't really know about, and so you're basically going to decipher and learn about this race, or at least retrieve artifacts from this race. And you have to pay sort of an upkeep or tax, I guess, to stay at the station and continue to explore. So this first section here is really just about creating your character, and then you can see here that there's this fairly simple character sheet. The lighting really is a bit all over the place today. I apologize, but I'm just, had to adjust a few things. So this is the character sheet, and you can see that there's, it sort of has an outline of the body. It has what's in your pockets, what's in your backpack. It has skills, and it has some stats, most of which you would kind of expect in an RPG, so fairly familiar, I suppose. Strength, Dex, Con, Will, Int, and Charisma, and then a few other details. And the process for creating a character is outlined here. And honestly, it's the way that this is laid out is quite user-friendly. So it's quite simple in terms of how this information is delivered. It talks about what to do during character creation, how you can assign skills, and kind of a brief outline of what those skills do. And then it goes into a talents section, and it's a D100. So I guess you could roll that if you wanted to, which is kind of cool. I haven't looked too deeply into the character creation aspects of this game yet, but what I've seen of it, like in the same with the background. You've got these different write-ups for the different types of backgrounds that are available, and just one example is a petty criminal. So some small robberies and hustles got you by day to day. You've made some enemies, the kind that can't simply be paid off, and you had to get away as far away as possible. So you can choose either +1 to manipulation or +1 to close combat. So yeah, just kind of gives you a bit of a background to why you might be adventuring. And then over here you've got this life-changing event, and this one is on a D20 table. So the cool thing about this is you can roll that. I'm sure if you wanted to you could also pick it, but I like that it's rolled just because of that randomness. I talked about this a little bit, but I've really been enjoying Dragonbane. I've been running that a bit lately, and you can sort of do a similar thing with character creation there, where you just roll for everything. And I actually really like that because I think sometimes, especially with a role-playing game, and especially one where you might be doing it solo, it's quite easy to get in a bit of, not a rut, but just a bit of a routine with the types of characters that you create, how, what sort of characters you like playing. And so by randomizing it and actually committing to that randomization to some extent, it's putting you outside the box of what you might ordinarily play. So I think that's really cool. And so as it has these drivers, so pick your main drive for your deep diver, your character, and why they might be doing what they're doing. So it has a bunch of different things that might draw you to adventure. Here's an example: espionage. Whether you work for Chow Technologies, Eclipse, or even Whirlwind News, you're here to see the station's inner workings, to learn firsthand how Karam Station Authority operates. So almost like a spy, as the name suggests, espionage, like a spy or someone who's seeking information about this organization that you're drawn to. So some cool drives. You've got mannerisms. So even like something that I was kind of thinking about with this game is, even if you weren't necessarily playing it, there's just so many cool random tables in it, and this would be great even just for like if you're just generating NPCs for a different type of game. It could be even for a fantasy game. Like all of this stuff here would fit with a fantasy game. Like rolling up an NPC who has any of these mannerisms or nervous tics or whatever would be these are useful tables to have, I guess is what I'm saying. So yeah, this first section here is really just on creating a character, and these illustrations, like, just a really beautiful book. Like it's kind of hard to get it across on the camera just how nice it looks, but it really is a beautiful, really beautiful book. Like just the graphic design, the art direction, everything about this is just so spot on in terms of just that overall vision for how this should look. I think if it was just text, it wouldn't have the same kind of impact, but just the text alongside the visual direction just kind of sells it a lot more. It's almost like a really nice graphic design project, if that makes sense. Like, you can imagine a graphic design student submitting all these like really cool concepts to a project, like at university level one, and this is almost like the output of this like kind of sci-fi concept, and I mean that in a really flattering way. It's like whoever, well, we could check at the beginning whoever's done this, but let's see. So interior art, and then the layout and graphic design. So these people here, the people responsible for this, have just really gone all out with creating this very compelling visual language for this product, which I just really like. So this section here is rules, and it just sort of covers the core mechanics and gameplay. As I said, I'm still, like, I'll need to kind of digest this. Similar how when I did the Dragonbane unboxing, I have a very different perspective on that. Or it's reinforced my perspective. I've got a more positive perspective of when I unboxed it compared with actually having experience playing it. And I assume this will be the same, where I'll be able to kind of, obviously I'm just making, as I'm going through this, I'm making comments on it. And what's impacting me at the moment, but I feel like it's an entirely different thing reading through it cover to cover. It's an entirely different thing actually playing it and seeing how that lands as a game. So yeah, the attribute checks, it talks about to make an attribute check, roll a d20, add your attribute score if it equals 20 or higher, so it's a higher than or equal or higher than, you've succeeded. So probably most people familiar with, say, 5e, kind of similar thing. You've got a well, no, actually it's different, isn't it? Because if the result is 20 or higher, you've succeeded. So that's actually not the same as that. But yes, it's a high result is good, I guess, which is similar. Both attribute and skill checks look to be 20 or higher. This is sort of covering tasks that wouldn't necessarily be covered in the skill list. So, it's basically just saying kind of use an appropriate attribute and roll against that. So again, all pretty simple stuff. And I suppose too, like, you could use the basic fundamentals of this and just make tweaks if you didn't like certain things about it. And yeah, so we've got an advantage-disadvantage mechanic, which most people will probably be familiar with. Roll 2d20 and choose the more favourable of the two. And then you've also got opposed checks, which again, probably a lot of people will be fairly familiar with as a concept. So I'm sorry about the glare. I'm really struggling with the lighting today. It's just a very gloomy day, and then any light sources that I have are almost obnoxious. And so yeah, it's a bit hard to see. So I apologise for that. It gives a bit of a difficulty modifiers table as well. It just sort of talks about their success level. So, if 20 is a success, then it has these different levels of success that are possible. And then it gives some examples. So tracking gear tracks where that gear is located, and that's what that body was for on the character sheet, I presume. Then goes into combat. So each section, as you can see, is very sparse. It's like those are, that's 2 sentences there. That there is 3 sentences if you include the fact that it's got a semicolon. So it's kind of like, I guess they should be self-contained. Anyway, 2 to 3 sentences each. They're very short. And then there's like a few other sentences here. So over a whole page, you might be looking at, what is that? 2, 4, 6, 8 sentences, really. So I like how much space is given. Because sometimes I find with RPG games it's just so densely packed, and you just really have to trawl through stuff. It gives an outline of the combat sequence. It gives some grid paper. I mean, it's obviously it's not too hard to find grid paper, but it's nice that it's included there. I guess you could, I don't know, do people still photocopy stuff? You can just find something online, I guess, and print it off. It gives some cover examples, random cover examples, and I guess you generate those, which is kind of cool. So it says place 3 pieces of cover. The largest crosses 3 hexes and offers partial cover, and then the others cross 2 hexes and offer full cover. And then alternatively, you can roll on the random cover table, so that's cool. So this is a D20 and this is the cover. I would just roll for it personally, I think, unless I had a very specific. So if you're doing this by yourself, even with a group, I suppose, you probably want to just keep it. I would like to keep it as random as possible. I like the idea of a GM-less game. I haven't really delved into solo play at all, but it's something I've been thinking about a bit lately, like just as a kind of a spare time sort of thing. Not that I have copious amounts of spare time, but still, I just like the idea of being able to kind of play a game by myself and try that out. Different side to the hobby, I suppose. So yeah, all of this is just really dealing with combat and how that works. As I said, I think there is some complexity to this. As I'm reading it, I'm seeing some of the complexity here, or as I'm looking at it, but I think there's just so many options for combat systems, or you could probably house rule just like a simpler version of this. But yeah, it has hit locations, it's a lot of detail, and I suppose it really depends how much detail you're after. It's got a thrown explosives table, And I think my comment still stands from earlier on. Like, to me, that generated cover thing is really cool. Like, that would be useful, not even if you're not playing this, but just any game. Like, that's cool. Like, roll up some cover and it's randomly determined, and yeah, you just kind of roll with that. And it has sort of areas of effect for stuff, critical hits and misses. So some of this I imagine could be optional if it is something that you want to add. That is cool. If not, then you wouldn't necessarily need to do that. You wouldn't need to necessarily add all of these rules, I think. And it gives a combat example as well. So this whole section here is just really outlining examples of combat. Kind of nice pink bookmark. Random combat events, treating wounds, so wounds and injuries, and like a D20 injuries table. And I like the last entry, which is torn to pieces. The blow is completely absorbed by the character's clothing. Any gear worn on the wound's location is automatically destroyed. Damaged nerves. Yeah, all sorts of quite interesting, quite imaginative kind of stuff. We've got zone-based combat, stealth and being cautious, conditions. I think too, like it is a long book, so 444 pages. But remember, because it's so spread out in terms of the text, like that is very sparse. Like that there's quite a lot of, I'd like to say dead space, but it's not really dead space in the sense that it just completely fits the mood. I feel like it's fine for it to be there. And so in that sense, it might be 440 pages, but it's not like you're wading through all of these 444 pages. It's something that's a little bit more digestible, I suppose. This section here deals with stresses and obsessions, the effect of stress and being able to lose stress. I think the stress condition has to do with, kind of what you're encountering and some of the interactions that you might be having with NPCs. Different emotional states: hopeless, enraged, nervous, composed, calm, hopeful, and pleased. I was about to say pleasured. Go with pleased. This next section is Chapter 4, Playing the Game. Choosing the right spaceship. So you've got these different types of spaceships. This is KRM-01, and it's a perfectly round ship with a diameter of 32 feet, made of a single smooth piece of a metal. It hovers 20 inches above the ground and needs no landing gear. And this one's more of like a triangular one, and then this one is colloquially known as pentagon. So yeah, it gives a few examples of ships. You can pick a name for your ship, which is pretty sweet. And space adjective as well. Spaceship adjective. And it has traveling to a known destination, traveling to an unknown destination. So yeah, all of these are basically exploring rules, different what happens when you travel, ship malfunctions, ship anomalies, what happens in a misjump, arriving at an expedition site, rationing, voyage time, site time. So a lot of that's keeping time. You can randomize a site name. So many elements of this game are randomly generated, which I just think is just fun. Like, just gives, literally it's unknown, and I think that's what's kind of cool. It's like this game is about exploring the unknown, and that feels a lot more tangible when everything is literally unknown until the moment that you determine that in a gamed sense. So I think thematically, I think that works. I would assume that works really well. I'll withhold my judgment till I've actually played this, but everything that I've seen so far is quite tightly tied to the theme and the kind of alleged intention of the game, which I like. And as I said, just for the random tables alone, even for the art direction, just as a book to thumb through and inspire you, like, geez, this is good stuff. So it has different stories. So, you know, what happened at that site. It has a site, so that's just the site story. It has a site descriptor and known threats, dominant site hazards and dominant site hazards, site areas, different encounters, scavenging resources and artifacts. Site has manifestations, locked access points, what's behind doors, dread events. Like this, all of this stuff is just full of random tables, random occurrences, events, nouns. Again, just so useful. Like all of these are just 20-sided tables, and it just describes these different types of centers. So, you know, power center, military, medical research, prison, refinery, refuge, residential, spaceport. It's just like, again, just has so much value for any type of sci-fi game. Taking a break. You got different planetary details, biomes. So all of these are different types of environments: exotic environments, frozen environments, lush environments. A spectacular field blooming with plant life. A blood-curdling howl freezes the whole crew in place. All characters must pass a resolve check or gain 10 stress. A wet swamp-like area, strange sounds and sights almost overwhelming. So just really short, succinct, evocative sentences here, just to give you a sense of what is around. Toxic, dozens of small creatures feeding off a large, days-old carcass. Really cool. Man, just the utility of it, just these alone is just so good. This next section is called Running the Game. So, just has a whole bunch of processes in place. NPC behavior, what do they do? So you can generate motivations for different characters. And again, it's a D100 table. So I think any RPG that you're playing, this is good for. I mean, even if you're doing adventure writing, like let's just say that you are working on a 5e adventure or, you know, some other kind of system, and you just want to get a motivation for an NPC. Let's pull out some dice and see what they're motivated by. So let's just say that you're writing an adventure and, I don't know, you get a 78 and you decide that the NPC that you are creating is motivated by altruism. Try again. 4. So conformity. They're motivated by conformity, which can be quite a powerful motivator. You know, so just you can see even for something like a fantasy system, that could be pretty useful. NPC knowledge. So, you know, you roll a d20 for this. Let's just try this. So 15. The acquisition of an ability involving, and let's roll again, involving a famous deep diver. We can roll again, I guess. 8. A change related to the enemy's plans. So yeah, again, just giving some NPC AI, I guess, autonomy, or give you a clue as to what this NPC that you encounter might be doing or what they might know. It has a really nice simple NPC starting attitude, which is just a D6 roll. So this NPC is friendly, suitably friendly. Morale, character descriptor. So again, another nice table there that's just immediately useful for any RPG. This NPC is formal. They are formal and they are 35. They are formal and primitive. Interesting. Character names, character surnames, quirks. So these are even, it's just fun just rolling on this, like loves gossip. You have like an NPC nature, how the NPCs are feeling, conversation topics. This one's a D66. I just have to roll this twice because I've only got one D6 handy, but that's an 11. So there's been a recent event in their family that they want to talk about. The NPC wants to talk about. Actions, themes, my goodness. You have encounters based on the amount of crew that you have as well. So 1 member crew encounters, 3 member crew encounters. You can generate an antagonist's stat block. So this is what I'm always interested by, is like how easy is it to generate an NPC within a given system? Because to me that's often the make or break with a system. It's like, if I can do this, kind of in a few minutes or less, then it's probably something I'm interested in playing. If it takes me 40 minutes to generate an NPC, I'm not interested. So this looks okay. Like that looks manageable. And it's good that it gives some examples too, because then you can just take this as a template and make some tweaks to it if you want. It has different types of enemies: brute, lurker, ranged, psychic, swarm. You can roll up these different enemies as well, like their abilities, all of it, like their appearance, all of the stuff. Creature name. These different guardians. And again, you've got these basic stat blocks for these guardians, and you've got some names of them. You've got known threats. So this is basically the equivalent of the bestiary section, I guess. Enemy morale. It describes Earth in the 22nd century. The effect of climate change, civil unrest, displacement, and so people begin looking to the stars. Earth becomes a giant plastic dumpster of dwindling wilderness and ravaged civilization. So that's kind of what we can look forward to. And that describes these sort of initiatives within space, and kind of maybe gives some clues why you might want to adventure within that. It gives an overview of Karam Station. So this is kind of like the lore section, I suppose. It gives some downtime activities. I love a good carousing table. So 26. So 26 is you got a tattoo, it's okay. Well, at least it's okay. It would be worse if it was a terrible tattoo. Unless, of course, your character just doesn't care about that kind of stuff. There's a directory of the Carrum station, the station's layout, the museum, the hotel, some corporate news and rumours, the inner ring, random crew members, again just like using this kind of employing this kind of basic creature or stat block template, different talents, NPC mannerisms. This kind of would have been good in the NPC in those other table sections, but I guess it's kind of its own thing in a way, isn't it? Yeah, I'd have to play with that a bit more to really have an opinion on that, but I could see a potential problem if you're wanting to do... I guess this is more about generating NPCs than what a random person that you talk to might say or do, which is, you know, so there's two types of NPCs, I guess. Someone that needs a stat block and needs this kind of information versus a NPC that you just kind of need to know a bit about their disposition and how they're going to respond to you. It's a field guide to weapons. And just goes over the different values and qualities of weapons, like a baton or a combat knife. Combat claws, pistols, SMGs, shotguns, experimental rifles, explosives, guide to armor and gear. So yeah, this is the equipment side of things, and then there's a scenario, Reigns on Felonus. Look at that. Such a cool piece with almost like a cat warrior or something in a field. These crazy triangle pyramid shapes. And more of a bestiary, Archive of the Wind. So this is, again, this is the adventure. Okay. And then a glossary. So yeah, this is Across 1,000 Dead Worlds. My first impressions, really happy with the amount of money that I paid for this. Because I was doing a sort of unboxing commentary, I did buy this, but Alex was kind enough to cover the postage on this because he knew that I was wanting to actually look at this on the channel. So I just wanted to disclose that before I kind of commented any further. So the amount of money that I paid for it, which was around $100 New Zealand, it's €55 if you want this. The basic core booklet, I think it is worth it. Like, this is an indie game, but to me this is a higher echelon of indie game in the sense that just the production is to me, this is like immaculate production. This is really high quality, as you've hopefully seen, and I know it's not going to come across as well in video, but this is a beautiful, beautiful book. I think it has its own utility for solo or GMless play, and I'm interested in delving into that aspect of that and having some actual kind of thoughts and opinions on that when I get that opportunity. But let's just say that you never played this in your life, but you paid for the book. I mean, to me, there's enough value there of just the random tables and just like, I know probably not everyone has €55 to throw at artwork just to have like a booklet of artwork, but I'd go so far to say that even just the kind of the visual direction of that adds a lot of value to it just because of how nice it is to, you know, just to thumb through, hold in your hand. I find that upside down naming on the spine a little bit weird. As if that was on a bookshelf, it's like upside down, and it's a bit strange, but other than that, like it's very, I can't fault it. Like, it's just a lot higher quality than a lot of RPG products that you would get. Yeah, for me, I think, as I said, what I paid with it, I'm very comfortable with that. And I think for New Zealand especially, we're right at the bottom of the world. If you can get it for cheaper because you live locally and shipping's less, then it becomes more of a no-brainer. It's more of a hard thing. Like, it would be $200 if I was getting it shipped, if I was paying for shipping. So that's a hard one to say. It's like, would I pay $200 for it? I think the only way that I could possibly answer that is if I actually played it. But for $100, which is more or less what I spent on this, yes, it's well worth it. If this plays as a really great game as well as looks as good as this, and yeah, absolutely, $200 is fine. I mean, people spend $200 on much more disposable and kind of non-long-term things. So to me, if you play this for 10 sessions, and it worked out to be $20 a session, and you put it on your shelf and never touched it again, that to me would be worth it. So yeah, that's it from me. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I know it's like a longer one, but I did want to just give this justice as far as thumbing through it and just giving people a really good idea of, if you were to buy this, what you are buying. If this is the sort of content that you enjoy and you've enjoyed this this video, please do consider liking and subscribing. Subscribing obviously to follow the journey, liking or commenting just to kind of help the algorithm out and popularize these types of videos a bit more. And with that, I bid you farewell.